Midnight Podcast. This is Rob, one of your hosts. Joining me as always, Patrick and Isaac. What's going on, guys?
Yo ho.
Hey, mahalo.
I feel like, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like it's been a minute since we've done this. Right? Like it just feels like it. I know it hasn't, but it feels like it to me.
We did
Is it
last
a Halloween?
I don't know. It's just like, I don't know.
Yeah, we've been doing regular schedule, but yeah, I don't know why.
I don't know. It's probably because this is like my wind down for the week. Talking to you guys for an hour, and it's been a tough week. But we'll get into that in a second. I'd like to move through our intros a little quickly tonight because I have a lot. So Patrick, how was your week? What are you drinking, brother?
So my week was pretty, I don't know, nonchalant. It was very, very busy at work. I'm drinking the rest of my my bourbon or whiskey, Knox. So with Coke.
Okay,
Whiskey
all
and
right.
Coke. It's
I feel like also maybe the contributing factor is that Patrick doesn't really talk to us that much lately. Question mark in the chats.
I
Yeah.
know, dude.
Are you okay?
No, I'm not.
What's going on, man? You want to talk about it?
Yeah, I need somebody to come up and help me paint my damn house.
All right. Well, I am coming up there in a couple weeks, so I can help you with whatever you need.
All right, good. I'm gonna have to. You need to lift a washer for me because fucking hell.
Hey, we're trained, brother.
Yeah. You cut my
And
fingers
hold up
first.
the broken finger.
Hold on. There. Do you see that finger? That
Yeah,
used to be straight.
90 degrees.
Yeah.
That's a front finger.
Man, did we weave that towel? Yeah, I'm sure we have in the past
Sure.
Yeah.
2 years of doing this.
Mhm.
Isaac, man, how was your week? What are you drinking?
Pretty regular, except for Halloween last night, which is always a bunch of shenanigans. I'm trying to get to the end of this Caribbean cask Glenlivet here. Only got a couple glasses left.
Are you gonna save that Reese's with Oreos for me for trading this mega battle thing for you?
It's still up there. It's up there.
I mean,
in the
I'm just
pile.
saying, I've got this that I purchased for you sitting right here.
Yeah,
It's
that's a
even
nice
trade.
promo. It's a nice promo. Yeah.
I was looking at it and I'm like, dang, that really is a nice promo. I mean, I prefer the Gengar, which you're going to purchase for me,
Yeah.
of course.
Well,
but,
the promo's with the Haunter in there. Did you see that?
It's not Gengar.
No, it's a Gengar
don't
EX,
want
but
it.
the
I don't
but
want
the
it.
illustration's a
I
Haunter.
don't want it. You
It's
know how
a
I
cool
feel
looking
about that.
Haunter. It's cool.
Okay. Is it really?
Yeah, I
not
mean
really a
it's really
big-
cartoony.
I'm not really a big Haunter fan, but okay, we'll
Yeah.
give it a try. I know
Yeah.
I like Ghastly and I like Gengar, but that middle guy, fuck that.
What's wrong?
Fuck that.
Out of all the middle ones that are existed, like Haunter's probably one of the coolest.
One of the coolest, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I think War Turtle's the coolest. He's got those
That's-
angelic fins on the top of his head.
That's another cool one. Yeah.
and his dainty curly tail or whatever. So
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
That's a good one.
this week has sucked for me. Between the crippling depression and work, I have not had a day off in 7 days. I'm
Ugh.
at my limit.
Yeah.
Work has been crazy. I've literally had someone call off every day this week, and it's gotten to the point where I'm like, when I'm getting out of bed in the morning. No, not bed, because my partner has this new thing where she falls asleep with the TV on, and it's as a Spanish channel. And when we gets to a commercial, the volume like goes skyrockets to 100,
Yeah, they do
and it
that.
just scares the shit out of me. So I'm like, I just get up and go to the couch, which is uncomfortable. So I haven't really slept. I'm living on full throttle and hydrocodone right now.
Is
It's
it
been a bad week.
is it in Spanish, like super loud too? So you're
Yes.
dreaming in Spanish?
Yes.
You like have nightmares that you're getting chased by Esteban?
Yeah. R.I.P. Esteban.
Yeah.
You were supposed to be here, but he's been sick for like 2 weeks. He's like you, Isaac. He won't go to the doctor when he's sick until he's like dying.
Yeah,
He's
they're
been
not
like
going to do
hacking
anything.
and coughing. I'm like, you might have pneumonia. I know a little bit about this. My friend just went through it.
I've had
Um,
pneumonia,
recently, right?
yeah. The last winter.
Right. So I am drinking full throttle, obviously, to keep myself awake because it's been a very horrific week, and it's not going to stop. I probably have to go in tomorrow. Monday, I have to travel to Pennsylvania to go to a conference. The conference is on Tuesday. Then I got to come back here, and then I go right back to work on Wednesday. So it sucks.
Didn't you find some pretty cool shops up there in Pennsylvania?
Yeah. I'm already thinking about it. Don't you? So I was gonna text you yesterday, man, and I chuckled to myself because I went to Woodbridge yesterday. And I haven't been to Woodbridge in a minute, but I used to like get into a town and not care what's going on. But like now I find myself when I go into a new town scanning the environment to see where the possible card sales might be.
Yeah.
Do you do that?
Yeah, look like where all the big box stores are. Yeah.
Yeah. Like if there's any card stores around, comic
Mm-hmm.
stores, comic stores are like a dark horse sometimes.
Yeah, they can have
They
stuff.
could be comics, they could just be, great.
Yeah.
But
Or
now I'm looking for Pokemon, One Piece, Magic, Dragon Ball Z for S. Steven, RIP, football for you. It's getting out of
It's a
hand.
lot.
So we need to narrow this down a little bit.
or you are in an airport and find a vending machine full of Japanese.
But do you see
trading
how expensive those are?
cards. Dude, they were like $60 a pack.
Yes, it's crazy.
And some
Yeah.
dude was buying them before I got there too, and I'm like,
Yeah.
How can you afford that, man? I have a vending machine right next door to my house, and it's like $20 a pack. I can't do that.
If you find the official ones from Pokemon Center, they're at regular price.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
not
dude,
like the
yeah.
third party ones.
So like Safeway ones, because you
Yeah.
notice all the Safeways have them now, but
Yeah.
they're always out
Yep.
of stock, so that's why.
Okay, they're not actually. They just release products like randomly. So you just have
Okay.
to catch it at the right time.
But it always says out of stock.
Yeah, it's just
Right.
because they don't want people camping out. So it'll just like randomly release a couple things at a time.
so,
So
are they
do I
in-
just have to start pushing buttons?
You have to. There's a camera on them, and like the rumor is like it has to sense nobody around, and then it will like pop something up.
So I have to like sneak on the side of it
Yeah.
and jump out
Yeah.
real quick when I see
Yeah.
something,
Yeah.
like I'm scaring the vending machine.
Yeah. Exactly. Yep.
All right, I got our next heist. We'll hook up to the vending machine with a car, and we'll just tear into it like an ATM.
We'll drag it right out. So, gentlemen, let's get into this. I have a couple stories this evening. Depending on how the first one goes, we might not get into the second one, but I have prepared 2 stories for you. A little bit having to do with Halloween, spooky season.
Cool.
Not so much Halloween. You guys know I'm not into ghost stories, really. However, I do like stories that are real and that have actually happened and that are unexplained, like Dyatlov Pass, what we've talked about before. I enjoy doing these, and hopefully you guys have fun with this one too. The second one I think is a little bit better, but this one's good too. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me take you back to 1912 and present a little bit of history to you. And we're going to weave the tale of a spooky story that remains unsolved to this day. I present to you Murder in Villisca, the house that never slept again. Cue some sort of music.
Do.
Oh,
Yeah,
man. You're putting a lot of pressure on me as the editor.
I know. I really, but put spooky music in there. Tonight's story comes from a small town in Iowa, the kind of place where everyone knows everyone, kind of like Penn, New York. The church bells mark every Sunday, and the biggest event of the year is the town picnic, where people go wild. But on the morning of June morning, 1912, Villisca, Iowa, woke up to something out of a nightmare. A brutal, unsolved murder that left 8 people dead and a town that's really never slept since. Do you know this one, Epic?
I listened to it before. Yeah, they're axe murders.
Yeah. Well, way to just give away everything. Now I'm quitting and going to the second story.
All right, we're done. Let's go play Fortnite.
Yep.
That was fast.
And I'm gonna try to rush this one so we can get that other one
No,
to see on
no.
time. But I can always use the next one next week, so we can take our time with this. In 1912, Villisca was your picture-perfect Midwestern town. And do you know this one, Isaac?
No.
Okay,
I'm glad it's in America though. I
it
can
is.
relate.
It is.
Relate?
I can speak the language.
Yeah.
About 2,000 people, a couple of general stores, a few churches, and one main street that shut down after dark. People didn't lock their doors, and at the center of it all was the Moore family. Again, this is sounding like a carbon copy of where we're from. Like one main street doesn't really shut down, but I've never locked my door in Penn, New York. I don't know about you guys, but I used to just walk into Isaac's house all the time, like uninvited, right?
Yeah, you
So,
can come in. Yeah.
at the center of it all was the Moore family: Josiah, 43, Sarah Moore, 39, and their 4 kids: Herman, 11, Catherine Boyd, 10, and Paul, 5. Josiah ran a hardware store and was well liked with everyone in town. They were active in church, social events, and totally ordinary family. Family. Oh my God, I can't speak. On June 9th, 1912, the Moores went to their church's Children's Day program. It was a Sunday evening full of singing, recitals, and the kind of like a community pride thing that small towns thrive on. Kind of like what is that thing in our town?
Starshine?
Starshine. That was exactly what I was thinking about. I'm glad
It's
you got
not
on the
any good
first one.
anymore. They've changed it. It's horrible.
Really? Okay, we'll get into that in a second. That night, the younger girls in the family invited 2 neighbor girls, Lena, 11, and Ina Stillinger, 8, to stay over with them. And they probably regretted it because nobody could have imagined what was happening. So now we're going to kind of break this down a little bit. Right now, we're going to go right into the discovery before we talk about the details on what happened. The next morning, a neighbor named Mary Peckham, who everyone knows Mary Peckhams are nosy and need to, oh my God, need to have their nose in everything, right? Is that the Moore family?
That's an older picture, but yeah, this is photo of Josiah and Sarah Moore with their children.
They deserve to be murdered with those haircuts.
No, dude. That was styling back then, dude.
And I love how a 43, like I'm pushing 40. Patrick, you're 40. So like I love how a 43-year-old back in that day looked like he's 96, and we still look almost like in our 30s, 20s. You know.
Well, they had to actually work.
Yeah, and they lived like the life expectancy was 36, right?
That guy's like old age. He's ready to retire.
Yeah. So, alrighty. The next morning in June, a neighbor named Mary Peckham noticed something odd. The Moore house was completely still. No one was outside doing chores, no kids playing. So she went over and knocked on the door. No answer. Tried to open it, and it was locked. So she called Josiah's brother, Ross Moore. Ross came over with his spare key and went inside. He only made it a few steps before running back out. Pale as a ghost, he told Mary something terrible has happened. Inside, every member of the Moore family and the 2 Salinger girls had been brutally murdered in their beds with an axe. I did a lot of research on this the past couple of days, and there's a couple details that I've heard in podcasts that I didn't see in any of my research, so I might bring them up. Well, we're kind of talking about it, so I might have to interject a couple things from my script, but yeah. Curtains had been drawn, all mirrors covered, and with clothing on every victim's face. Also, the killer even draped a cloth over the telephone. It was methodical, almost ritualistic. Food was left uneaten on the kitchen table. A bowl of bloody water sat nearby, like the killer had washed up before leaving. And the axe was found leaning against the wall in the guest room, the same room where Josiah received more blows from the axe than any other victim. His face had been cut to such an extent that his eyes were completely destroyed. The ceiling in his room also had a gouge mark from when the murderer lifted the axe to murder him. So this guy had a lot of hate in his body for Josiah for whatever reason. Guy or girl, right? And also, what I've heard in podcasts when I've heard this story before is the super strange thing is there wasn't any. It was snowing at the time, and there wasn't any like footprints leading away from the house, right? So it's not like anybody was in the house and escaped the house because they couldn't. They would see footprints, but at the same time, because it was snowing, they could have been drifted over, that type of thing. So. The killer or killers used the blade of an axe on Sarah while using the blunt end on the rest of the victims. Herman, Mary Catherine, Arthur, and Paul were next bludgeoned in the head in the same manner as their parents. Afterwards, the murderer returned to the master bedroom to inflict more blows on the elder Moores, knocking over a shoe that had filled with blood from the previous attack. before moving downstairs to the guest bedroom and killing Ina and Lena. Seemingly afterwards, a 4-pound slab of bacon was taken out of the icebox and laid next to the axe for whatever reason. Don't know. Nobody knows why. If you guys have any ideas after we get through the story, let me know. Investigators also found untouched food and bloody water on the table, like we talked about. Investigators believe that all of the victims, except for Lena Stillinger, had been asleep when murdered. They had thought she was awake and tried to fight back, as she was found lying crosswise in the bed and with a defensive wound on her arm. Lena was also lying, and essay warning. If anybody, this is tough stuff. Turn it off or skip ahead a few seconds. Lena was laying on her stomach, her posterior in the air, and Lena's body had also been moved and her undergarments removed. Her leg had been positioned in such a way to reveal her genitalia, and this led law enforcement a speculation that the killer had molested her or attempted to do so. Later investigations of the body showed no evidence of rape. So, just strange to position their bodies like that. Don't know why. But let's move on. That is the murder weapon.
This is in the museum there. So this is the murder weapon, and just some of the gavel, I guess they used to, which we'll talk about later. And some of
their toys and photos.
Yeah.
Okay. So, back in the day, forensics sucked. And it's when one thing happens, the whole town knows it happens, right? The town of Villisca fell into chaos. Word spread fast, and before the sheriff could even rope off the scene, hundreds of townspeople had wandered through the house. Evidence was destroyed almost instantly. This completely contaminated the crime scene, with some people even stealing pieces of Josiah's skull as souvenirs. The murder weapon was handled by hundreds that came through the house, and the sheriff was unable to gain control of the scene for hours. Imagine what a nightmare that would be, trying to find evidence and just hundreds of fingerprints on this axe now.
Yeah, people were brutal back then as far as getting souvenirs for stuff, pieces of his skull. What in the...
Yeah. So, but the brutality of the crime and how carefully it was carried out suggested the killer had experience, and it wasn't like an act of rage against someone. Josiah says otherwise, in my opinion, but whatever. Theories exploded. Some thought it was a jealous ex-employee of Josiah's. Some said a deranged drifter. Others whispered it was something darker, even ritualistic. There was one strange clue. The fact that every mirror had been covered, every face shrouded, and that was kind of just an old superstition at the time that was to keep spirits from being trapped in the mirrors. Okay.
Yeah.
And then there were reports of a man seen walking down the train tracks out of town early that morning carrying a bundle wrapped in cloth, possibly an axe. Probably BS because the axe was still in the house. So, doctors estimated the murders happened between midnight and 2 a.m. The victims' autopsies revealed all died from severe head trauma. No shit. Some wondered how a murderer could maneuver in compact, creaking farmhouse without waking anyone. At the time, newspapers proffered a theory that the murderer put a sedative in milk or cocoa eaten by the family, but toxicology studies weren't part of autopsies at the time, so we never knew. Investigators found an imprint in the hay in the barn next to the knothole where they believe the killer observed the family for some time. 2 spent cigarettes found in the attic suggested that the murderer could have entered the house via a window or unlocked back door and hid until the family returned from church. 2 curious bits of evidence were uncovered. A gas lamp with its glass chimney removed and the wick turned down so it would give off only the faintest bit of light was discovered upstairs, and a fragment of a keychain not belonging to any member of the Moore family was found downstairs. After this limited investigation, the coroner held an inquest the next day where 13 people were interviewed as potential witnesses. So now we're going to go through suspects. I'm not going to go through all 13. I'm going to go through the ones that I thought were the probable suspects.
There are 6 of them. Or 4?
No, there's a
4?
couple. I think a couple less. I think after some.
I got a screenshot of the prominent suspects.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm using the Windows thing.
Yeah, those are all the ones that we're gonna go through.
Okay. Do you want me to leave it up, or do you want me?
Let's pull it back up when we start going through them.
Sounds good.
So, you guys still with me? Isaac, you're with me? Have you solved the murder yet? You're muted. I can't hear a word you're saying, but your lips are moving, and I kind of like
13 is kind of a lot, isn't it?
Well, they don't even. They had nothing.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you always have a lot of suspects at first, especially like when you don't have forensic, you don't have any type of whatever, and you come upon a scene that has 50 to 60 people picking fragments of skulls up off the ground, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, suspects. Sorry, I had to take a breather there for a second. We've been kind of pounding through this. Frank F. Jones, Josiah's former employer. Josiah had left Jones's hardware store to open his own hardware business, and the rumor had it he took a major contract with him. That was motive for some, but not really a lot of proof with that. And I don't think, I've taken some employees with me to other jobs, and I've never been axe murdered. So, I'm going from least likely to most likely, in my opinion.
Okay.
Andrew Sawyer. Every transient and otherwise accounted for stranger was a suspect in the murders. Andrew Sawyer was one of those people. He was interrogated but not charged. He was obsessed with the murders and slept fully clothed as if he was ready to make a clean getaway, and he also kept an axe by his bed. Then, oh no, we aren't going to go through this one yet because I accidentally copied and pasted a couple of them. I feel like if I was also trying to get away from this, I wouldn't keep an axe next to me. I would ditch that really fast.
Well, you would if you were an axe murderer.
Yeah. And I also want to say that going back to Frank Jones, there's some more information here about him. Apparently, he took John Deere away from Frank Jones, which we all know is a huge contract.
Yeah.
And more Frank Jones. Oh my God. This is messed up.
Frank Jones was also an Iowa state senator and a prominent member of the town.
Yes. And Moore, the father, was also rumored to have a sexual affair with Jones's daughter-in-law, though, again, there's no evidence supporting that. Which, it's just kind of talk of the town. And then I have the next 2 gentlemen, and these dudes really sucked, like big time. The second is my thought on who committed the murders, but we're going to go through both of them in detail. Reverend George Kelly. Kelly was an English-born traveling minister in town on the night of the murders. Kelly was described as peculiar, reportedly having suffered a mental breakdown as an adolescent. As an adult, he was accused of peeping and several times asking young women and girls to pose nude for him. On June 8, 1912, he came to Villisca to teach at the Children's Day services, which the Moore family had attended on the night of the murder. He left town between 5 a.m. and 5:50 a.m. on the morning of the murder before the bodies were discovered. Reverend Kelly had confessed to the murders in court, but the jury did not believe his confession. In the weeks that followed, he displayed a fascination with the case and wrote many letters to the police, investigators, and family of the deceased. This aroused suspicion, and a private investigator wrote back to Reverend Kelly asking for the details that the minister might know about the murders. Kelly replied with great detail, claiming to have heard sounds and possibly witnessed the murders. His known mental illness made authorities question whether he knew the details. He was kind of wishy-washy, like he committed the murders, he witnessed the murders, going back and forth. So in 1914, 2 years after the murders, Kelly was arrested for sending obscene material through the mail, like the camera that you have to sit for 2 hours for to take a picture. He was, dick pics like that, sitting there 2 hours.
He sent the first dick pics?
Yep.
Over Pony Express?
Yep. So
this guy started it all.
He was sexually harassing a woman who applied for a job as secretary. He was sent to St. Elizabeth's Hospital, the National Mental Hospital in Washington, D.C. Investigators speculated again that Kelly could be the murderer of the Morden family. In 1917, Kelly was arrested for the Villisca murders. Police obtained a confession from him. However, it followed many hours of interrogation, and Kelly later recanted his confession, and none of his confessions matched any evidence that they did have. And after 2 trials, he was acquitted. Dude seems like a nut job.
Yeah.
You know, whatever.
Yeah, I kind of think you'd have to be kind of a little crazy back in the 1917 or 1912 era to be a traveling reverend. Like,
Yeah, and there was just like nothing else to do.
we usually have a congregation, right? At that time, like you had small flocks within certain little towns, and
Small flocks. I like the way you said that.
well, that's what it used to be. But
Yeah, I get it.
yeah.
I'm going to use a little bit of racial language here. I apologize. Fast forward about 20 seconds if you don't want to hear it. William Mansfield. Another theory was that Senator Jones hired William Insane Blackie Mansfield, an ex-convict and former U.S. Army soldier stationed at Fort Leavenworth, to murder the Moore family. 9 months before the murders at Villisca, a similar case of axe murder occurred in Colorado Springs, Colorado. 2 axe murder cases followed in Ellsworth, Kansas, and Paola, Kansas. The cases are Kansas and Iowa close to each other? I don't know maps.
Yeah, they're kind of close. I'm not sure if I can't think if they're touching or not, but they're
Okay.
right there.
2 axe murder cases followed in Ellsworth, Kansas, and I went there. The cases were similar enough to raise the possibility of having been committed by the same person. Other murders reported as possibly being linked to these crimes included numerous unsolved axe murders along the Southern Pacific Railroad from 1911 to 1912, which is a whole separate story, the unsolved axemen of New Orleans killings, as well as several other murders during this time period. The murders in Colorado Springs were closely related in execution to those in the Moore house. H.C. Wayne, his wife and child, and Mrs. A.J. Burnham were found dead, murdered with an axe. Bed sheets were used to cover the windows to prevent passerby from looking in. At the Moore house, both of them had the aprons and skirts covering the mirrors and everything like that. And, he covered the faces of the bodies with whatever he could find. So this murder in Colorado Springs and this one were looking quite similar. Mansfield was also the prime suspect of the Burns Detective Agency of Kansas City and Detective James Newton Wilkerson, who suggested that he was a cocaine-addicted serial killer. According to contemporary news reports, Wilkerson believed Mansfield was responsible for the axe murders of his wife and infant child, father-in-law, and mother-in-law in Blue Island, Illinois, on July 5th, 1914, 2 years after the Villisca murders. The axe murders committed in Paola, Kansas, 4 days before the Villisca murders, and the murders of Jenny Peterson and Jenny Miller in Aurora, Illinois. So this detective was really trying to go after this guy because the similarity between everything. However, like I said, this is the one I lean more towards, but there are some holes in it as well. According to Wilkerson's investigation, all of the murders are committed precisely the same manner, indicating the same man probably committed them. Wilkerson stated that he could prove that Mansfield was present in each of the differing crime scenes on the night of the murders. In each murder, the victims were hacked to death with an axe, and the mirrors in the homes were covered. A burning lamp with the chimney off was left at the foot of the bed, and the basin of water where the murderer washed his hands was found in the kitchen. In each case, the murderer avoided leaving fingerprints by wearing gloves, which Wilkerson believed was strong evidence that the man was Mansfield, who knew his fingerprints were on file at the federal military prison at Leavenworth. Yes, sir.
So William Mansfield was a freaking psycho.
Yep.
Regardless, okay.
Yep.
But was
Oh,
he?
go ahead.
So he's the one that committed the other murders and stuff, as far as like axe murders.
in
and things?
theory,
In
in
theory.
theory.
Okay.
Um,
But not like we don't know for sure. All right.
no, highly probable that he
Yeah.
committed the other
I mean,
murders.
Looking at him, I could
Yeah.
see that.
Wilkerson managed to convince a grand jury to open an investigation in 1916, and Mansfield was arrested and brought to Montgomery County from Kansas City. Payroll records, however, provided an alibi that placed Mansfield in Illinois at the time of the Villisca murders. So he was all the way in Illinois spending money or whatever, or getting a paycheck. So when they were murdered, he wasn't there. And he was awarded, so he was released for lack of evidence and later won a lawsuit he brought against Wilkerson and was awarded the whopping sum of $2,225.
Wait a
Wilkerson-
second. Back then, do you know how much money
Yeah.
that is, dude?
That's a lot, actually, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Um,
like a couple $1,000,000. Look that up, Isaac.
Wilkerson believed that the pressure from Jones resulted not only in Mansfield's release, but also the subsequent arrest and trial of Reverend Kelly. However, R.H. Thorpe, a restaurant owner from Shenandoah, Iowa, identified Mansfield as the man he saw the morning after the Villisca murders boarding a train at Clarinda. This man said he had walked from Villisca. If proven to be true, this testimony would disprove Mansfield's alibi, but then there's payroll records that prove his alibi, right? He's
Yeah,
not
but-
getting. But we didn't have direct deposit back in the day. They're paying him. They're handing him the paycheck, right?
Exactly. That's true.
Oh,
That's a good
50K. It's 50K, by the way.
Oh, nice.
50,000. Okay, so it's not.
Yeah.
But that's still a lot. For
It's good.
Furthermore, it was reported that a Mrs. Vina Tompkins of Marshalltown was on her way to testify that she heard 3 men in the woods plotting the murder of the Moore family a short time before the killings. After that, the trail went cold, and no one was ever charged. To this day, people argue about what really happened at the house. Some say the murders were part of a series by a traveling serial killer who rode the trains and struck small towns near the tracks, like the Axemen of New Orleans a few years later. Others think it was someone from Villisca itself, a person who knew the Moores, their house, and their habits. Then there's the paranormal angle. Over the decades, people who visit the Villisca Axe murder house report hearing footsteps, children's laughter, doors opening on their own. Ghost hunters have recorded unexplained voices, cold spots, and even axe-like shadows moving in the rooms. The house is now a tour. Well, let's back up a little bit. After the murders, the house changed hands 13 times, with each new owner leaving due to financial issues or feelings of unease. And other families say they were cursed. Now the house is just a tourist attraction, and you can even spend the night there if you pay the money or dare or whatever. I'll just sleep somewhere else. So
they had a holiday Inn.
I got a Holiday Inn or a Best Western, down the street. So what makes Villisca so haunting isn't just the crime, it's that it's unsolved over 100 years later and the killer's name is still unknown. It's one of those stories where the more you read, the more questions you get. Why were the mirrors covered? Why leave the food out? Why the slab of bacon? Why the basin with blood? Why did he leave the murder weapon? All of this stuff. And the most chilling of all, why the Moores? Some say the murderer might even stayed in the attic the night before the attack, waiting and listening. So, because they did hear some creaking and stuff that they told somebody at a church.
But that makes sense because they didn't have any footprints or anything outside in the fresh snow. So
he could have went right back up to the attic and hid where he was up there during this event. But you would think with hundreds of people in the house that someone would have noticed.
That's a good point. Yeah.
In the end, Villisca never really recovered. It's a small town still defined by a century-old nightmare and a house that refuses to stay quiet.
Okay.
Gentlemen, that was the story of the Villisca axe murders.
So
Go on.
So Williams Manfield, I do totally believe the theory now that the Senator Frank Jones hired William Mansfield to do this. But
Okay.
also, there was another suspect that you didn't touch on.
Okay.
So, Mr. Henry Moore, no relation to this family, was convicted of killing his mother and grandmother in Columbia, Missouri, just months after the Villisca axe murders.
Okay.
So he carried out the murder in the exact same fashion that this was done.
So this must have been like the in thing at the time because everybody's doing murders this way, right?
Everybody. So
Yeah.
I was just watching that Netflix series about what's the monsters?
Oh,
The
Ed
head-
Gein?
Ed Gein story, and everybody I guess axes were prominent, right? So everybody had axes; they had to get firewood. So now they just use guns, but back in the day, apparently, just people went crazy.
Yeah, this was kind of a fascinating case for me. The next case is even more fascinating for me, but again, I doubt we'll get into it today. It's a little shorter, but
Do you know how many axe murders occurred in the Midwest during this time period? Like total.
no,
Take a guess.
Like, what's the
12.
time period?
12.
The 1910 to 1920, axe murders. These are murders. These aren't just, I cut my leg with the axe.
Yeah.
How many?
22 other axe murders in this short period of time in the entire Midwest. So this is telling me there has to be a serial killer or something. And these are the ones that are reported, right? Because this time people lived far away from each other, and it's sketchy. Was Garth Brooks alive at this time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So are we all in well, you're saying the Frank Jones?
I think I really do. Well, so you said that Mr. Moore left Jones's business and took the contract with him, right?
The John Deere contract, yep.
So he left and started his own place and took that. So I kind of believe the whole Frank Jones and Mansfield connection there.
Yep.
And just because there's payroll records, I kind of feel like that's easy to cover. And especially if you have an Iowa senator backing you up, he could easily flub that with one of his friends.
Yeah. Isaac, what are you thinking?
I don't, and that does make sense. I could see that.
You know what?
happening.
You think about it, and we'll circle back to you after this next short story. I don't want to save this for next week because it is very short, and it's someone else's turn next week, and I think we've only done about 30 minutes, so we can get through it real quick. I think.
Let's hit it. Let's do it.
Okay. This is the story of the vanishing fire, the Solder Children mystery. Dun, 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 dun. Cue flame noises, editor.
Oh, there you go.
Have you heard of this one, or is this going to be new to you?
I think I have, but it's the Solder family disappearance, right?
Yep.
I think I have. I listened to a lot of stuff when I was traveling.
Yeah, that's where I get a lot of my ideas too. So
yeah.
At least it's new for Isaac. A night. Okay, tonight, gentlemen, I'm going to weave you another tale for your approval. Tonight, we're going to go back to Christmas Eve, 1945, to a quiet little house in West Virginia. Isaac, right down the street from us.
Yeah. Yeah.
A night that should have been filled with stockings, laughter, and the smell of pine, but instead ended in a fire and 5 children missing and a mystery that still burns decades later. Gentlemen, this is the disappearance of the Solder children. That was pretty good, right?
Yeah. So
I'm trying to work on my inflection and shit.
Yeah. It was really good.
This was in Fayetteville, West Virginia,
right down the road.
Oh, this is right next door to you guys.
Yep.
Where were you in 1945?
Yeah.
The war.
In Dad's testicle. Well, probably not because that's a different podcast episode about the semen reproduction rate, right? All right, guys. I'm gonna kind of try to get through this really quickly. So if you need me to slow down or if you want to interject at any point, just kind of raise your hand or flip me off on the camera, okay? The Sauter family lived in Fayetteville, West Virginia. George and Jenny Sauter and their 10 children. Isaac, could you imagine 10 children?
That's the way it was back then, though, right?
They had nothing else to do, right?
No, you need help.
Okay.
You need help
Okay.
on the farm.
Yeah.
Can we
Working on
can
the
we
farm.
talk about something a little raunchy right now? I want to let's again, if you guys are easily squeamish, please turn off the podcast for about 1 minute. People did not do well with wiping back in the day, and like there was been stories of like a dude coming home and going doggy style and enjoying the scent of his wife not wiping. Yeah, that was bad. Yeah, it was horrible. I'm going to bring that up next week. I'll get you guys the.
How about we
You don't, need
don't?
to bring it, you don't need to bring it up.
Yeah, you already
Are you
brought it.
sure? Are you
Yeah,
sure? Because it was
you made it
very
weird.
fascinating for me.
You already made it weird.
I apologize. I was trying to research the other day the invention of toilet paper, and I came across it. Okay, stumbled.
What, Pornhub or what?
Yes. Yeah, that's where I do all my research.
It's
Um,
all swayed.
Again, they were a hard-working Italian-American family, well-respected in town. On December 24th, 1945, Christmas Eve, the Sauter home was buzzing. The older kids had just come home with gifts. The younger ones were excited to stay up late, and everyone was ready for the holiday. Around 10 p.m., George and Jenny went to bed, which were the parents. I might throw a couple. I didn't go through the names. I'm sorry. I thought I did, but we will. You guys will get it. George and Jenny went to bed. Some of their older kids followed, but 5 of the younger ones, Maurice, Martha, Luis, Jenny, and Betty, asked to stay up a little longer to play with their new toys. And why are they opening gifts on Christmas Eve and not Christmas Day? I don't know.
Well, so I used to open up one gift on Christmas Eve.
One, yeah, but not all of them.
Maybe they just like to sleep in, Rob.
The mother, Jenny, said yes, but told them to remember to close the curtains, turn off the lights, and lock the door when they're done. Remember that. Then the house went quiet. Cue fainting clock ticking noise, editor, and wind outside of a house brushing some shutters. I'm gonna have Isaac's gonna be outside of his house with like a fan trying
Recording stuff.
trying to record.
Shelby's going to be looking at him. What the
What
hell
is
are
he
you doing?
Is this it? Is he broken? Around 12:30 a.m., Jenny woke up to the sound of the telephone ringing. She got up, answered, and heard a strange woman's voice ask for someone she didn't know. Behind the woman's voice was laughter, clinking glasses, kind of like a party was going on, right?
Yeah.
Okay, like a
Jenny-
prank.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jenny told her she had the wrong number, hung up, and went to bed. But as she did, she noticed something strange. The lights downstairs were still on, and the curtains hadn't been closed. So she went downstairs with her cane, ready to whoop some ass. No,
Sure.
I added that in. No. She
Oh.
saw Marion, one of the older daughters, asleep on the couch. Thinking the others had gone to bed, instead of checking on them like a good mother, Jenny turned off the lights and went back upstairs. An hour later, she woke again, this time to the sound of something hitting the roof, then rolling down.
Santa.
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously.
Moments later, she smelled smoke. Sound cue, faint pop, and slow build of fire, please.
And reindeer going away.
Yep, and reindeer. And
mean-
something rolling down the roof. If you have to roll Wes off the roof, totally cool. He's broken
Alright.
a lot already. He'd probably enjoy it.
Yeah.
Jenny woke George and the other older children. Sorry, not the other children, the older children. Flames were already spreading through the hallway. The phone was dead, the lights were out, and the stairs were blocked by smoke. They escaped through a window, but not everyone made it out. 5 of the kids, the youngest ones, were trapped upstairs. George, the father, tried everything. He broke a window, slicing his arm open, and tried to reach the children's window with a ladder that always leaned against the side of the house, but the ladder was gone. Remember that as well.
Yeah.
He, and as you guys as fathers, you guys got to understand, you that's your worst nightmare, right? This is like, how are you getting your kids out of this? And, just trying everything, right? I can't imagine what was going through his head at the time, right? Trying to just bust his kids out.
Well, and you got to remember, like 1945, there wasn't a lot of firefighting like equipment. I mean, they
Oh,
had,
I know. Wait till we get to the next part.
because like it was all on him. Like there's nobody coming to help
Yeah.
really in West
Oh,
Virginia.
yeah. Get this. George tried everything. Yep, we got there. He started his trucks to drive them close enough to climb on to reach the windows because the ladder was gone, but both trucks refused to start, even though they worked fine the day before. Neighbors saw the flames and ran for help, but when they tried to call the fire department, no one answered. Eventually, someone drove into town to find the fire chief who had to phone his crew manually. It took over 7 hours for the fire department to arrive, and by then the house was a pile of ash.
Seven
Going back
hours.
to what Patrick said about fire stuff.
Well, yeah, there was no such thing as a paid fire department unless you were in the city back then too. So
Yeah.
just keep in
Yeah,
mind,
it's
you're
Christmas
still-
Eve.
Yeah.
Christmas Eve,
Uh,
West Virginia, all volunteer. There's nobody.
Sound cue, low wind, faint dripping water after fire.
Oh, no.
I actually did just put all that stuff in to mess with you. I want you to know that. The fire. I did all this afternoon at work during my horrific day, and it brought me a little bit of joy after my day. The firemen sifted through the rubble, but found no remains, no bones, no bodies, just a few fragments that could have belonged to anyone. Officials quickly ruled it an accidental electrical fire, but George and Jenny didn't believe it. They were sure, absolutely sure, that their children hadn't died in the fire. So the more they looked, the stranger things got. First, the phone line. Investigators had said it was burned, but a telephone repairman told them it had been cut, and that something hitting the roof. Jenny heard the night of the fire. Weeks later, the Sodders found a small, green, rubbery object in the yard, like a pineapple bomb casing. And remember the ladder that George couldn't find? It turned up, tossed down in an embankment 75 feet away. Then came the witnesses. One woman said she saw the missing children peering out of a passing car that night as the fire burned. Another claimed she served them breakfast at diner the next morning. One report said that a woman at a Charlestown hotel saw 4 of the kids with 2 men and 2 women of Italian descent. She said the adults wouldn't let her speak to them. Jenny even did her own experiment at the time. She started burning animal bones in her stove to see if they'd leave remains, and they did every time. Experts later confirmed that it would take extremely hot, prolonged fire to completely destroy bones, far more than what their house fire reached. So, Epic, is that true? You being a firefighter, there would still be bones always?
So
7 hours.
not really. So
Okay.
you got to think you're talking about an older house construction, so it burns a
Mhm.
lot longer.
Mhm.
Like nowadays, houses catch fire and it was a psh. Back then, they would burn for a couple hours. You'd have a lot more time to escape, but
Okay.
that's a high heat to kind of get rid of
Yeah.
bones. That's high. That's
Okay.
yeah.
George and Jenny refused to accept the official story. They hired private investigators, put up billboards along Route 16, and offered rewards. And those billboards became iconic black and white photos of the 5 missing children under the words, "What was their fate? $10,000 reward." Epic, are you able to find a picture of the kids?
No, but I have the billboard.
Okay.
So here's the billboard. What was their fate? Kidnapped, murdered, or are they still alive? $5,000 reward.
Oh, this says $10,000. All right. I guess I'm wrong. Thank you for that.
You said 5. You said 5 before.
No, I said 10. That was what my research said, 10. But I guess it doesn't matter at the end of the day. The billboard said what it said.
Well, this could have been like the first one, and then they raised it. That type of thing.
Could be. Billboards became iconic. One investigator traced a lead to Washington, D.C., where a man claimed the children had been kidnapped as revenge against George for his outspoken political views. George had made enemies. He was vocal about his criticism of Mussolini, even among the local Italian community. Some thought the fire might have been arson with a message, but no proof ever surfaced. The police grew tired of the case. Years passed. George and Jenny never rebuilt the house. They turned the site into a memorial garden, and then in 1968, over 20 years after the fire, Jenny received a strange letter in the mail.
What?
Cue strange music. This letter, no return address, postmarked from Kentucky. Inside was a photo of a man in his mid-20s. On the back, a handwritten note. The note said, Louis Sauter, I love brother Frankie, Ill Boys, 89032 or 35. Whatever that means. Louis was one of the missing Sauter children, and the man in the photos looked exactly like him, just grown up. So yeah, now we'll pound out some theories, and yeah. The family believed it was proof that Louis was still alive, the photo. They even compared facial features, and the resemblance was uncanny. They hired another investigator to track the letter, but that investigator vanished as well.
What?
Yeah. Some theories say the children were kidnapped and raised by relatives or even taken overseas. Others claim they were sold into adoption. There were whispers about local mafia, an insurance scheme, even government involvement. Then there's a darker angle that the children did die, but someone covered up the truth either out of negligence or fear of being blamed. The weird part is bones. This is also true. The weird part is bones were eventually found in the ashes years later. But when tested decades later, they turned out to belong to someone much older than children. And not so it was not any of the missing kids. So back to square one. To this day, no one knows what really happened to the Sauter children, whether they perished in the flames or slipped away into some new life under a different name. George and Jenny kept searching for their children until their deaths. George passed away in 1969, Jenny in 1989. Their surviving children continued the search, though most have since passed as well. The billboard stayed up for 40 years as a haunting reminder to everybody driving through Fayetteville that the kids vanished without a trace. And today, the site where the house once stood is still quiet. Locals say sometimes you can hear faint laughter near the memorial gates or see flickering lights where the house once burned. Whether it's the memory of the tragedy or something else, we will never know. Cue your kids laughing, Isaac. Soundbite.
What?
So yeah, that's the Sauter children.
That.
No answers. I apologize, but
Well, Mussolini was a dick, so I could see maybe.
yeah.
It seems like a lot. Some dude from West Virginia has got the
Yeah.
dude of the president of Italy, or the dictator of Italy, like kidnapping his kids just to piss him off.
Yeah. I personally believe the kids died in the fire, right? Like I don't, but it's weird that they found those bones of a much older person in the ashes decades later. It's just a strange case. What do you think, Isaac?
Yeah, I don't. There's no one. Like, there's no motive or suspect really. Like, so you're saying someone took the kids and then like burned the house to cover up the kidnapping? That's what we're saying?
Yeah. Yep. That's the only evidence. That's the only theory that is from the police.
That's out
It doesn't
there,
make
but
sense, right? Like it
it's
doesn't.
too much work for that. It's too much work.
In the short of amount of time. The strange things for me were the trucks not working when they worked the day later.
Yeah, the ladder.
The phone line being cut, the ladder, and the weird pineapple bomb casing.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
That all could have been just someone trying to start the fire, though. I mean, it could have been really arson, but like as a means to cover up a kidnapping it's strange.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know unless they were kind of wanted to point something elsewhere while they were getting out. I don't. But that seems still like a lot of work.
Oh,
And how would you know? Like you would have had to have known that the younger kids are going to be staying up late tonight. It's my
Right.
chance. You wouldn't know
Right.
that.
No, right.
not
And
there on
it's
Christmas Eve either.
like it had to be planned, right? Like it's like it's too much of a coincidence. The ladder, everything.
The ladder's what freaks me out. So
Yeah.
finding the ladder tossed in a ditch way down the road.
Yeah.
So there's a note also that a bus driver happened to see balls of fire, looked like they were shooting through the air that night.
Mm-hmm.
So like somebody threw something on fire through the air, which is consistent with something falling on somebody's roof, right? Like a
Okay.
Molotov cocktail or something like that. But there's also a report says the bones, this is about the vertebrae they found in the dirt at their house.
20
So
years later.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So the bones, the report concluded, were most likely this in the supply of dirt that George used to fill in the basement
Okay.
to create the memorial for his children.
Okay, that could make sense.
So he got it with the bones because back then people used to bury people wherever, right? Family plots
Right.
and everything. It wasn't just a cemetery. And you
Um,
never know.
at the end of the day, it's you could come up with one theory that makes sense, but then there's another part of the story that doesn't make sense. Like the kidnapping, okay, but why the ladder? The arson, okay, but why, and the other kidnapping? It just doesn't
Yeah.
make sense.
Well, back then too, like with those billboards and everything else that were going on, it kind of that was like celebrity, right?
Yeah.
So what happens when somebody gets popular? People try to inject themselves into the story.
And that's where a lot of these theories, I think, come from, like hearsay and people trying to inject themselves.
Man,
At the end of the day, it's just like the Dyatlov Pass. It's just one of those things we'll never know. And will sometimes keep you up thinking about, it's just not, it's not cool. I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it. It was just, I enjoy these kind of mysterious stories, and I hope that you guys enjoyed listening to them. I thought it'd be fun for spooky season.
yeah, happy Halloween.
Yeah, happy Halloween, folks. Isaac, you still kind of look like you're deep in thought there, brother.
No, I don't like. I'm aware this stuff happens all the time, but I don't actually get to hear any of the stories because I'm just not paying attention, I guess. But it just makes you. It's just strange stuff, man. That we just there's no other people around to witness it, then you can never know for sure.
Yeah, yep. And I on top of the video games and stuff that we talk about sometimes, I like injecting a little bit of the strange into our podcast, and I think it keeps it interesting once in a while. I have actually a list of, I have about the next 10 episodes planned that I'm going to do. With a list of stories that I want to regale you gentlemen with. So yeah.
Well, I think we've all learned to keep Mussolini's name out of her mother effing mouth.
Yep. You gentlemen have anything else before we head over to some Fortnite? We're about the 57 mark.
No, but what is it's Simpson season, right?
Simpson season. I'm pretty excited about it.
it?
I've already
Yeah.
bought half the battle pass.
I was looking too, and I was like, "Oh my god, there's some really cool stuff." I wish I had
Yeah.
$400 to buy the DLCs.
Yeah, I think Esteban's going to join us at least for Fortnite, so I'm going to text him and I'll meet you guys over there. Isaac, did you have anything else?
No, I'm good. I'm ready to start the new season.
All right, guys. If you enjoyed this episode, please follow us, PanPod Official, on most all, what am I looking for? Social medias. We are doing pretty well with followers, and we kind of want to keep pumping that up a little bit. So, we're not asking for anybody, no money, nothing like that. We just want you to hit a follow. So as always, be kind to yourselves, each other, your insides, and stay away from drifters and people with axes, because Pizza After Midnight is a young man's game. Later.
Peace.
See ya.